Congressional leaders are launching a probe now into Facebook. This comes after the Wall Street Journal uncovered internal documents that indicate Facebook knows exactly how toxic Instagram is for teens, especially girls. In a blog post, Instagram says the company stands by its research, saying, quote, "It demonstrates our commitment to understanding complex and difficult issues young people may struggle with." Earlier this afternoon, members from Senator Blackburn and Senator Blumenthal's teams met with the whistleblower who provided that information to the Wall Street Journal. And Senator Marsha Blackburn joins us now for an exclusive interview. Welcome, Senator. Thank you for joining us. There's a lot to unpack here. But first, tell us if there's any new information your team was able to glean from this whistleblower.
What we know is that the whistleblower has worked inside Facebook. They have documents, which, of course, the Wall Street Journal has been reporting on. And then we are just beginning to process these and go through our work. Now, Sarah, just so y'all are aware, we are going to have a hearing with Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Snapchat, TikTok, in 2 weeks, and we look forward to having them in front of us. What we know is a lot of this anecdotal information that we had from parents, teachers, pediatricians about the harms of social media to children, that Facebook was aware of this, that they knew, they had done research, they had the information. They knew that it affected the mental health of children, the psychological well-being. They also knew that there was an addictive nature to using social media. But you know what? In pursuit of the dollar, they did it anyway.
So I don't think people will be surprised to hear, Senator Blackburn, that there's a hearing. There have been so many hearings. How many times have we watched Mark Zuckerberg come before you lawmakers, Cambridge Analytica, disinformation, and nothing really happens as a result? There's a lot of outrage, and there's a lot of questions about what Facebook knows and how it's profiting, and then nothing happens. What is something different this time?
Yes, I think there is something different because Senator Blumenthal and I are working on this together in a bipartisan nature. We know that there needs to be a push to finish up online privacy for federal legislation, that we need to look at COPA, which is the legislation that protects children online, stiffen the penalties and put protections in place. Likewise, data security, looking at Section 230. And one of the things that is different about this is Facebook and other social media can say, well, no, marketing to children is not a harm, but now we know that, yes, they do know that they ought not to be marketing to minors, that they ought not to be pushing Instagram for kids or a kids' YouTube channel, that there need to be greater parameters around that. Because of this, it is time for them to engage with us and say, these are going to be the guardrails. These are going to be the parameters. This is how we're going to prevent drug traffickers, sex traffickers, human traffickers from using our platforms to conduct their business.
Senator, certainly when there are, illicit activities such as drug or human trafficking, that there are, legal standards for what's okay, what's not. Understandable, you have to make sure that, Facebook and other platforms are not, crossing those lines. But I do wonder. Right. Exactly. About the broader point of the Wall Street Journal's reporting, which is that in general they have research at Facebook apparently saying we know that some of our users tend to feel worse. It tends to be weigh on their mental health if they use our products a lot. Where's the role for the Senate or policymakers in overseeing something like that?
This will be an action that we take up in the Consumer Protection Committee and work with the FTC on. There should be those guardrails in place. In addition to the harm that comes, what we have seen, they have the documentation on with Instagram and what this does to children. You also have to look at like Google Chrome and children's data and the lack of protections that have been put around that. And we have been saying, police yourself. Well, what we know now is that social media lacks the discipline to police themselves, and they have their own research, not outside research, not a pediatrician's research, but their own research that identifies these harms and even goes to the level of the harm. So it will be up to us to say, you cannot market to children. You cannot allow children that are 13 to open an Instagram account. See, 40% of Facebook's users globally are kids and teens, 40%. And Facebook has 90% of their users that reside outside of the US and Canada. But what we have found out is they are only using 13% of their resources to look for these harms that are U.S. based. And they're not putting the power where the greatest harm is being done, which is to these children.